This video is sponsored by Ren. Greetings guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. I am currently in an Airbnb in Rotorua, where I will be for the next few days, and then I'm back to Auckland, and then I go to Melbourne, and then I go to the Gold Coast, and then I go to Sydney, and then I go to LA, and then I go to Oakland, and then I go to Seattle, and then I go back to LA, and then I go to Gibraltar, and then finally I'll be back in London. Busy time. Oh my gosh. There's been a lot of moving around. My good lord. Anyway, so I'm currently in an Airbnb. I tried to figure out where to sit. The weather is absolutely awful. It was flooding yesterday. That's a freaking field. Birds are not meant to be able to swim in there. There's a sports field. Oh my god. Ugh. We went to look at the bubbling mud. And it was literally just water. The roads were flooded like knee deep. It was scary driving home in the dark with pouring rain. Don't recommend it. So right now I'm sitting on my bed in my Airbnb. The lighting is terrible because there is literally no sun. And my microphone is balanced on two Ordinary albums that I brought with me for some reason. Today is June. I don't know what day in June, but it's a day in June. I'm not wearing earrings. Oh my god, what's wrong with me? Let's go for these ones. Look at these earrings. They're made by Sunpuff Studios. Not sponsored or anything. It's a small business based in Manchester. She makes them all herself. They're incredible. I highly recommend checking them out. It is June. It is Pride Month. Hooray! And what better way to celebrate Pride Month than looking at some queer TikToks? Specifically, TikToks by queer creators that I question their political views, because that's what we do here. You all seem to really like these videos. Out of all the videos I've posted in the past year, the couple times I've done this have been my most viewed and my most well received, and I get recommendations to do them, so I thought that I would do them. Yeah, let's have a look-see, shall we?
I'm not willing to admit that I was wrong, so I'm gonna pretend that I love it and that this was the plan.
So this woman, Dr. Lively, literally this is all of her TikToks. Every single TikTok is when a gay person finds out that I'm a conservative and they hate me and they don't claim me. Like, I don't even want you. They always complain and talk about how we, the queer left, the queer liberals, make everything about our sexuality, and they're not like that. Their sexuality is the least important thing about them. They don't care. They don't want to talk about it. Like, there's so much more than that, and we're so weird for making that our whole personality. And then half of them come on here and they're like, yeah, I'm a queer conservative. I'm not like the other queers. I'm way better. You straight people should all love me. Fuck the gays. I'm better than them. Like, is that not making being queer your whole personality? But just like a pick-me, just a pick-me gay of like, straight people, please love me. I'm not like the others. Implying that like the rest of the queer community doesn't support you because you're conservative, that's just not true. It's this thing of like, a lot of the TikToks and stuff are basically implying that like we don't care what happens to them. We support all queer people except conservative queer people. Like, I can support you as a human being, and I want you to have equal rights and equal opportunity, and I want you to be safe, and I want you to live a life, you know? But I don't have to like you as a person. I can like respect and support you as a human being without liking you. Surprise, shocker, you can respect and support people as people without liking them. Those are not mutually exclusive. Here is another one of hers that is slightly different because I didn't want to save like 15 of the same exact TikTok. There are still people who are friends with people with differing political beliefs. If you're more in the center, people will still be friends. This always makes me think about the fact that I went to uni, right? I was in a small class at uni. There were only 12 of us, and most of them were liberal. I wouldn't say they were left-leaning. That's definitely a stretch. They were mostly like more conservative Christians, but they wouldn't vote conservative. They were still Labour supporters and would vote Labour, but they were like somewhat conservative. And there were a couple people who would claim they were more left-leaning and they were definitely strongly voting for Labour and Green. And then there was one person who was a Trump supporter, which, by the way, makes no fucking sense. We're in New Zealand. Why are you a Trump supporter? I was friends with everyone in my class when I first started. When I was 17, we were all really good friends and I hung out with them a lot. This was before I was able to form like strong political beliefs because I was 17. I didn't really know that much. I knew where I stood in terms of like equality and feminism and gay rights, etc., but I did not have enough information. We were never alone together. I never hung out with people like one-on-one. We were always like the whole class would go out for lunch or would go out for dinner or whatever, like after class would finish. But one time I was alone with him and I remember having a conversation where he started his sentence with, "If I say this, you'll think I'm Islamophobic." And I'm like, okay, man. All right. Okay. So you're Islamophobic. I got you. Other things being like, he was very anti like illegal immigrants and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. The people in my class, they were all friends with him. And some of the other people in my class have like more conservative views, like I said, but a couple of them were like more strongly left-leaning and were still friends with him because it's like, it doesn't matter. Our political beliefs are different. We just won't talk about politics. So I stopped being friends with all of them because as time went on through uni and I started to get a better understanding of all these things and what it means, I was like, I can't be friends with someone who supports this. And the fact that you don't care that those are his politics and you are fine with that and you are friends with him and you support those ideas by supporting his beliefs and stuff, I was like, I can't be friends with you. They were cis-het white men and they just didn't care about his political beliefs. It's just like, we just won't talk about it. And I can't be around that. So I stopped talking to all of them. By third year, I couldn't do it. I can't do it. Also, one time we went out for lunch and it was me and 6 people from my class. And I don't know how we got onto the topic, but we started talking about abortion and it's me, pro-choice, at a booth with 6 pro-birthers. And I was so overwhelmed and it was so fucking what? And I asked the like hypothetical question of like, if there was a burning building and there was a baby and a jar of like 100 fertilized like eggs or whatever, which would you save? And he dead ass was like, I would save the jar of fetuses because there's 100 of them. I'm like, no, you fucking wouldn't. You absolutely wouldn't. Fuck you. And then we weren't friends anymore because I can't be around that. Anyway, yeah, people are still friends with people of differing beliefs, but that means they don't hold beliefs as strongly as like I do. If you say you can be friends with someone who is strongly left-leaning, I don't believe you because you're strongly right-leaning. And politics are important and they should be a central part of like your moral compass. And I can't be around people who have different morals than me. It's very difficult. It's kind of like how now with where I am with like my beliefs, I don't think I could date someone who isn't vegan at this point because like that is such a strongly differing opinion. That's one of the reasons me and my ex broke up. Different politics, different beliefs, different morals, you butt heads and it's not going to work. If you aren't talking about politics, I don't understand. I don't get it, genuinely. Anyway, I've been talking about this for so long. I get so easily sidetracked. Oh my gosh. Speaking of differing political views and stuff too, this guy from my class also didn't believe in climate change. So there's that. I don't really know how you can be living in this day and age and seeing what's going on in the world around us and like looking at genuine like science and shit and think that climate change is not real and is not a crisis. But for those of us who actually have an understanding of the world around us and what's going on, and we are very well aware that climate change is a big, real problem, there is something that you can do to help. And that is where our today's sponsor, Ren, comes in. Ren is an online tool that can calculate your carbon footprint, which I know is like a made up thing by like oil companies and major polluters in order to put the blame on us as individuals. It is still kind of cool to know your carbon footprint in terms of how much carbon you yourself are producing so you can help to offset that. And Ren allows you to make a monthly donation to offset your carbon footprint by putting money into projects such as donating clean gas cookers to refugees in order to allow them to cook without really massive amounts of dirty and unhealthy smoke, which is not only super bad for the environment, but also really bad for them. So it helps make a difference in carbon emissions for the planet and also helps them be healthy and safer and not damage their lungs. They also put money into projects to prevent deforestation, but not only are they helping to prevent deforestation, they are giving warning to the tribes that live in areas that may be affected by that deforestation in order to allow them to move on time if that deforestation does occur. And I think that's really cool and really important because not only are animal habitats being absolutely destroyed and demolished for particularly cattle farming, but it's also ruining people's lives and places to live, which is absolutely awful all around. So donating monthly to Ren, you are able to help contribute to these amazing projects, which not only help the planet, but also help the animals and also help people who need help. All of which are absolutely incredible. And the first 100 people to use my link will get 10 trees planted in their name, which is also pretty cool. It's nice to make a difference and plant some trees, which obviously also helps offset a little bit of carbon. We love trees. Trees are great. You'll also get monthly updates about where exactly your money is going, which is great. It's really cool to be involved and know what you are contributing to. I really like Ren and what they're doing, and I highly recommend checking it out if you're able to. Obviously, major difference needs to occur from big corporations and big companies, but it's quite difficult to control that. This is something within your control, and I do genuinely believe every little thing does matter, and it does count, and it does help. So if you don't have the time to go to big protests, and you don't have the resources to like change your diet to veganism, and you don't have resources to do a bunch of things and change up your living style because it can be really hard and really inaccessible for a lot of people, this is a really great way to do something. So go to the link in the description and check it out, and if you can make a monthly donation, that is super, super cool. Back into the TikToks. I've been filming for a half an hour and I watched 2 TikToks. Oh my God.
Next time somebody tries to tell you that the rich don't pay their fair share, show them these numbers. In 2020, the top 20% of taxpayers paid 78% of federal income tax. According to 2017 data, the top 1% paid 38.5% of individual income taxes. Meanwhile, the bottom 50% only paid 3% of all individual income taxes. And in 2020, 61% of Americans paid no federal income taxes at all.
It's almost as though rich people have more money. The fact that only 78% of taxes was paid by the wealthy is a problem in itself. Way more of that should have been paid by the wealthy. You know? I make good money doing what I do. So I'm not at all saying that I am in lower class or working class or whatever. But I pay 20% on tax, right? So I'm giving 20% of my income, which is a large amount, especially given how much living costs in London. That's a lot of my income that I could be spending on like groceries and rent and all that sort of stuff, which, you know, I need and are essential to like live, let alone like people who make less than me who are paying 20%. That's a lot of money that they kind of need. And I do believe taxes are super important in order to pay for things like healthcare and feeding children and welfare benefits, etc. That is all really important, and taxes are very important for those things. However, wealth tax is so, so important. If billionaires, because a lot of billionaires live in the US, a decent amount of them live in the US, if they're paying taxes, and they're paying a fair amount of taxes, then that number should be way higher than 78%. That's just a fucking fact. 99% of $1 billion is more than 1% of my income. You know, like they could pay 99% of tax and they would still be billionaires. And if not billionaires, they'd still be 100 millionaires because they make so much money, like so much money. It's unreal. They could pay so much, and yet people in the upper class could pay 1% and they would still be fucking paying less in tax. Billionaires do pay their fair share. They're giving more to this country than anyone. Yeah, they fucking should be, because they make an unfair unfathomable, unspendable amount of money that, like, I can't even envision. They have infinite money. They could donate all the money they earn from now until they die, and they would still be able to live 1,000 lifetimes. They don't need all of that. They should be paying 99% of the country's income tax because they have enough money to be able to do that. And then you can lower the tax rate of the lower class who needs that extra money in order to be able to pay for rent and pay for food. They shouldn't have to live paycheck to paycheck. Firstly, they need to earn more money. They definitely need to earn more money because minimum wage is fuck all, not enough to live off of. The fact that minimum wage is less than living wage is fucked up. Living wage should be minimum wage. Having minimum wage lower than living wage means that you are openly admitting that people are not getting paid enough to live, and that is fucked up. 78% of taxes being paid by the richest people in your country who are like multi-billionaires is not good enough. It's just not good enough. So I'm sorry, but like that's how it fucking works. I don't know how you can view that any differently.
People who say that nobody needs an assault weapon clearly don't understand the true intention of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment exists so that we can protect ourselves against the ever-present threat that our government would turn against us and try and take our freedoms and rights away. And in order to do that, we need weapons that can fight against a powerful government. So no, the Second Amendment isn't just so that you can protect your household from criminals. And it certainly isn't just for hunting. The Second Amendment protects our right to bear arms. Powerful arms that could fight a powerful government if it chose to turn against us.
I cannot imagine living in a place where I am constantly afraid that the government is going to turn on me, take my rights away, and come after me with assault weapons. Like, I cannot imagine living in a place like that. And I understand that there are, like, way too many countries that do live with that fear. And I just cannot imagine living in a place like that. That's not something that I am at all afraid of or worried about, like, ever. Because my government doesn't have more weapons than the entire world combined. Aotearoa, here, we don't even have, like, nuclear is banned. No nuclear energy, no nuclear weapons, nothing. There is nothing nuclear here. It's illegal. It doesn't exist. It's not here. So that's one threat that I don't have to worry about. And also, we don't put trillions upon trillions of dollars into our military. We don't have, like, secret places with a bajillion fucking weapons that could be used to destroy the entire world, unlike you do. And yet, you are still pro-military. You are still for giving, like, so much money into the military and encouraging people to join the military and work as military under the government's guidance. Like, maybe if you weren't so heavy on military and weapons, you wouldn't have that fear. And maybe if you're afraid that the government you're voting for is going to turn on you and start taking away your rights and killing you, you should get a different government. Because you're all fucking Trump stans wearing your Trump merch and shit, and you still held these same beliefs when the man that you love and adore and idolize was in power. So clearly you didn't trust him either. The man you idolize and think would never do you wrong could turn on you at any given moment and break into your houses with assault rifles and you'd be equipped to fight back. Like, what? Why are you voting for them? Vote for someone else. Change the government. Your country's fucked. It's like actually doesn't make sense to me. It's insane. It's terrifying. I'm going there in a few weeks and I'm like, wow, what am I getting myself into? Oh my God. It's like not real. It's unreal. The US is unreal. You do not need an assault rifle. If the government turned on you and like broke into your house or whatever, like you kind of, I don't care how many assault rifles you have. It's not going to be a fair fight, is it? It's not going to be a fair fight. They're all trained fighters. What are you? Just a guy with an assault rifle? Like, it's unnecessary to have one. You cannot justify, no matter how you look at it, you cannot justify everyday people having assault rifles, because look at what happens when everyday people have assault rifles. That doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. Anywhere else. We had one mass shooting here. There was one mass shooting here. And immediately, semi-automatic weapons were banned. They took them to gun shops and they were bought back. Simple. Have we had a mass shooting since then? Absolutely not. And it's wild how desensitized to that you are because, like, you know, everyone is upset and mourns for a day when tens of people are killed. When they're slightly smaller than that, way less people talk about them. There's been like 200 mass shootings this year in the US, and I've heard of like maybe 3. We had one mass shooting. Granted, it was a very big one. We had one mass shooting, and the whole country effectively shut down for so long. There was a minute of silence that happened, and the whole country stopped. People pulled over to the side of the road, no matter where they were driving. Everyone pulled over, everyone stopped what they were doing, and the whole country had a moment of silence together. There were rallies, there were speeches. I remember at uni one day, everyone stopped and went to meet in the quad, which is a big area, and we stood and we paid our respects. There was like whole movements of standing in solidarity with Islamic people because it was so horrific and awful, and that is not something that happens here. This is meant to be like the safest country in the world, right? That's what we're known for. I have things to say on that as itself. That's bullshit, but in terms of mass shooting and public displays of violence, that is relatively true, I would say. It's unfathomable to me living in a place where that's just like a normal thing and something that you have to like live with. That's fucking terrifying. And I'm sorry to everyone who's there and having to live with that fear. Because, like, you never know when or where that could happen. And that's awful and that's terrifying. Just get better gun regulations. If you need a shotgun to go hunting or whatever, disagree with it. Don't like it. But we still have that here. We're a big farm country. Obviously, farmers have, like, shotguns. There's a lot of hunting that happens there. I don't agree with it, but fine. It has to be kept in a safe under lock and key at all times. So, you know, children can't pick them up and accidentally shoot people with them. At least have that regulation, because what the fuck? How many teenagers steal their parents' guns and go into school with them? Way too many. Lock it up under lock and key. Maybe your teenager can't steal your gun and go and shoot up a school, you know? There are some solutions that could happen. There is so much you could do. I know there's a gun problem and it's impossible to get rid of them at this point in time. Buy back guns. Get better regulations about who can buy them and how they can buy them. Have better background checks. Make sure they have to be kept under lock and key at all times. Like, there's so many things that you can do. I know this is meant to be like gay themed, but these are they're just the people talking about them are gay. They're not talking about actual gay things, but I couldn't, yeah. Oh my god, this is exhausting. Okay.
Okay, but that's not the same.
That's not the same. Okay,
We want gay rights. Okay, let me vote how I want. You can. What is it with all these people assuming that, like, leftist or liberal gays or whatever are trying to take away your right to vote? We're not trying to take away your right to vote. You can vote for who you want. We just disagree with you. We want you to vote. Like, go vote. Please use your voice. I don't have to agree with who you're voting for. Just fucking vote, you know? I don't agree with you, and I'm gonna tell you why I think that you're wrong. I don't have to like you or agree with you in order to respect your right to vote. Go vote. I just won't like who you're voting for. It's really that simple, man. No one's trying to take away your right to vote. And if they are, then fuck them. But, like, stop making shit up. No one's trying to take away your right to vote, man. Oh my god. When a progressive finds out I'm gay and married to a black man, but we're both conservatives.
That's why I'm so sick of this. How many times you around, you won't say something like that. You won't say something like that.
How is this a majority of these fucking TikToks? All these gay people, like, being gay isn't my whole personality, but, like, I'm a conservative gay and everyone hates me for it. Haha, look at me, straight people. People hate me. Gay people hate me. I'm not like them. Maybe you shouldn't make being a gay conservative your entire personality. Maybe you should make some different content that's actually interesting, because I'm sick of seeing your entire fucking feed just being like, gay people hate me because I'm not like the other gays. Like, I get it. But considering how many gay conservatives are on TikTok saying this exact same thing, I promise you, you are not alone. And also, let's face it, cis, white, gay men are, like, the least oppressed out of the LGBTQ plus community. I have seen no trans women of color on here being conservative. I'm sure they exist. They absolutely do. but there's way less of them, and I wonder why that is. You are still a cis white man, right? You're still a cis white man. And your husband is a black, cis, gay man, which they are more oppressed, of course, obviously. No one hates him or you for being conservative. It's just slightly confusing and concerning that you don't see why that's a problem. Like, you can vote for who you want, but I don't feel like you're voting from a good place. And I feel like it's that thing of like ignoring the problem doesn't make it go away. You know what I mean? Like, ignoring the fact that you're oppressed doesn't make you not oppressed. And I agree. Democrats are also kind of shit. You know, I don't like Biden either. He's just slightly better. He's still very conservative. That's the thing. Both Democratic and Republican Party are both very conservative. They both fall like up here on the political compass. They're both conservative. The fact that people think that voting Democrat is voting for the left is fucking insane. That's like actually fucking ridiculous. That's not at all true. It's just slightly less authoritarian and conservative than voting for a Republican. And unfortunately, I don't see that changing anytime soon. Yeah, even Jacinda Ardern here is like a centrist. People just call her a centrist. Oh, I could talk about Kiwi politics for so fucking long, but like whenever I make videos about here, no one really watches them, which I think is really interesting. How people always want to learn about politics and culture, especially about here, Aotearoa. So many people always talk about how great it is here and how they want to be here and how they want to move here, and the leader is fantastic and it's such a liberal and left-leaning country. But if I sit down and talk about how it's not, no one wants to hear it. Anyway, I've been filming for almost an hour. I've gone on many rants and tangents because sometimes I just get incredibly worked up and frustrated, and today is one of those days where I just like can't deal. I just can't. Sometimes I just get really angry. You guys like my angry videos though, so I've heard. So I hope that you've had a good time here because I haven't. Oh my gosh. Let me know what you want to see from me for the rest of Pride Month. I will be in Australia very soon. My favorite place on earth. Don't tell anyone. Please keep this hush hush between us. But I fucking love Australia. I know I chat shit about Australians all the time. Australians, I have a problem with. Australia, the country, I love it. I love it. I love Sydney so much. I love the beaches. Melbourne is fucking fantastic. It's one of the best white cities to be vegan. I don't know, people always talk about like the best countries in the world to be vegan, and there is like Australia, England, New Zealand. I'm like, you guys forgot like India and Thailand and Cambodia, you know, the places that are like historically vegan, especially fucking India. The entirety of South India is like vegetarian. They follow Jainism, which they don't even eat like root vegetables out of the fact that they could kill a bug because of the reincarnation beliefs. And yet when people talk about the best countries to be vegan, they don't talk about it. And that seems a little bit fucking racist to me, but whatever, go off, I guess. Melbourne is the best white place to be vegan, supposedly. I haven't been since I was 10, so I'm really excited to get back there because I really enjoyed it. It'll be really nice to see as an adult. I'm very excited to go back to Australia because it's been 3 years. It's been 3 years since I went. I last went for a concert, which was great. But anyway, I'm blabbering again. Next time I see you, I'll probably be in Auckland again. I'm gonna pre-film a few videos so I don't have to film while I'm on holiday so much. Yeah, okay, thank you so much for coming along. Before you click off, let me tell you about one more thing. This guy, little Kiwi Fruity, is now available, and she will be available all Pride Month. You can get her at Makeship. The link to get her is in the description. They will only be available until the end of Pride Month, and then bam, gone forever. They're so soft, so cuddly, so freaking cute. Look, it's holding a little heart, got the rainbow interior because obviously little queer Kiwi Fruity. Yeah, I love this. I'm so proud of this, and I hope that you do too. Get them quick before they are gone forever. They make an excellent addition to your pillow hoard. I know you have 12 pillows on your bed, and look how great. This would be such a good addition. Go grab one while you can. A massive thank you to my Sprout and above patrons whose names are up on the screen right now. And an extra special thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons, Wolf, Rosa, Toulouse, Bobby, Sparrow, Josh, Mandy, Robbie, Christy, and Ikazel Zare. Thank you so much for joining. I love and appreciate you so much. If you would like to become a patron, you can go to the link in the description or straight to patreon.com/savvycat. You get videos a day early, bonus footage, travel vlogs, etc. So if you want to join and help support me, then that would be great. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, TheQueerKiwi, and Twitter, ThatQueerKiwi. My follow count is stable and hasn't grown for ages, and I like attention. So you should go follow me for sure. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah.